Hello everyone, Down to Don back with the next update progress report on the Corsair repairs, rebuild, redos, whatever you want to call them. Right now it's mostly redos. The repairs, there's still a couple of repairs left to finish, like the wing tip and that, but getting the tail wheel. But now most of this is just this. So somebody asked me about this hole. That's actually when the airplane flipped over, gas had got in there and melted the foam. So this is just microballoon slurry, real thick microballoons and epoxy. I've just been slowly filling the cavity up. So, but as you can see, the last thing I had mentioned was I was going to work on this, get this in there. So you can see that is finished. I had to take this off to countersink the holes for the Allen wrench, tapered Allen screws. And then I had to put the sensor in, which is probably hard to see down in there. But I got it in. It's all bolted down, good to go. Cables come out here. This is the cam sensor, the crank sensor. The wiring comes out around this way, but it'll all be routed back over into here again. This was the original place for the water temp block, was this one I bought here to put in line, but I'm not going to use that. As you can see, I've got, after making this the other day, last week, fitted it, took it all apart, and redid everything, and now it's all bolted on there. It's permanent. It's done. This shouldn't have to come apart anymore. And then this morning, or this probably around noon or so, I came out and did some work. But I made these two plates here early this afternoon. So, and I've got the tubes inserted. Just pull these out of the way. As you can see, actually, let me grab my little flashlight here. These things right here are recessed into this plate 1/8 of an inch. And if you can see, if it's focusing there, that thing is perfectly flush inside. It worked out absolutely beautiful. And I actually had to put these in the vise to squeeze them together. I used a piece of like 1 1/4 inch steel tubing to put in here, put it in the vise and crimped it. Just kept moving the tubing around, pounding on it with a rubber mallet to shape it. And then to put it in here, I actually had to just bevel it a little bit on the bottom of these, and then put it in a vise and kept working it and using took a metal chisel and just kind of knocked off the chisel edge of it, made a little round, and just tapped on it with a small hammer. Got it started, and then when I cranked the vise down, they just pressed straight in and made a perfect connection. And as you can see, I also, if you don't notice, I cut these, some of this garbage here. Now these, you just kind of squeeze them a little bit and put them on. Then you can twist them. You can see it wiggling at the base there. Twist them till they're flat there. Twist them till they're flat there. I lopped 1 inch off of all 4 of these. So this side, and then I took my bead roller and I rolled a bead. It's right here, so you can see the clamps on. Got enough room to put clamps on, it is. And my original water outlets still clear. So that's a plus. So I'm reusing these. I'm just going to take this looped up through the throttle body as keeps the carb warm. I may be able to do that if I want. But I'm more looking forward to just run a hose from the one side to the other side to circulate the water, because when this thing is warming up, the thermostat is closed and the block needs to circulate water around back to the inlet of the thermostat housing. Remember, these Subarus have the thermostat on the inlet side coming from the radiator, whereas a regular V8 car, Ford, Chevy, they always have the thermostat on the block going into the radiator, so hot water out. This one is cold water in. So, but as you can see, I got both sides done. I need to go get some bolts. These ones are just a hair too long. They're bottomed out, so you could wiggle this thing when it's off. And this one is too short. I think I need 25 millimeters, so I need to find 4 25 millimeters. Hopefully they'll have some. They're 8 by 1.25 thread pitch, but I took the quarter round on this, as you can see. But they're both done. Now these are clamped on. These are those turbo clamps, and they actually conformed very nice. These are pointed just back to get them out of the way, so those should work. They're not interfering with, as you can see, I got the cable hooked up here for the throttle, and I've just got this clamp. This is what originally held this bracket onto the engine before, so I'm going to either reuse this or make another one to clamp on there, and that'll hold this thing in place. So this vice grips are just to hold this on to hold this cable in its place. So now the cable is free, the throttle is free to work. That's wide open, that's idle. And the cable is going to be too short. And I forgot, but I did buy, this is a 3-inch extension that just screws onto the inlet of, let's see if I can push on this. So it doesn't matter. This will be clamped back here in the plane. This gets hooked to the throttle quadrant. As long as it's in a straight position, it'll be good. But turns out I looked up to see where I got this. I looked at it, I was like, I would have made one, but I noticed that I didn't make that. It's too nice. So I looked up on Aircraft Spruce to see about a longer cable. This is a 48-inch cable. And the next size is 5 foot, 60 inches. And they're might as well say $120. And I only need a few more inches. So it turns out where I bought this was Aircraft Spruce, ASC it's called, Aircraft Spruce Company, I think. ASC stands for Aircraft Spruce. They're made specifically to sell from aircraft. But you can get these in 2-inch, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to buy a 6-incher, which could add another 6 inches to this. But the 6 inches may be just plenty long. I'm going to put another hole in the firewall somewhere in here, just the ends, because the end of the wooden structure stops here and here. So it can go up here in the corner, cut through a fitting, and then it comes back through to the quadrant, and I think the 6 inch is just going to fit. So, and here's the bracket that was bolted inside that holds it here. So now, instead of this being back here, it'll be up farther for it. And that thing does not want to stay up there. So that's all done. As you can see, I just kind of threw some fittings on here, used all the original hoses. Now this is the part of the regulator that controls the fuel pressure and flow to the TBI unit. I took it apart just to check it and clean it, and the cap I need to drill the hole out and put a fitting in it, because it has to come up and attach to this as a kind of a balance tube. But this is just not what it's going to end up looking like. But essentially, this got a hook before it goes there, and this is going to go down to a fuel pump, a little electric fuel pump, and then the fuel pump will have a fuel filter probably before it. It should be at least a 40 micron filter. So it's just going to come out of the tank, through the firewall, through a simple bulkhead fitting like that one, go down to an electric fuel pump, which will be mounted back here somewhere, and then there'll be a fuel filter either before or after that pump. But they say you got to have at least a 40 micron or finer on the inlet side. So you got there'll be a short line going to a filter, into the fuel pump. If I'm lucky, I can get a filter that's threaded on the ends, or it can screw into the pump. You can get the pump with different 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch pipe thread fittings. So 1/8 inch is what all these ones are. The ones in the carburetor were 1/8 inch also up here, but they splayed out to a -6 hose, which is kind of pointless because the hole in that 1/8 inch pipe is definitely smaller than a -6. So it's no good to try and step up from there to there. This is going to be under pressure, so it doesn't need to be anything bigger than what I'm using. This system before, remember, with the fuel injection, was a 40 psi system. But as you can see, these turned out really very, very nice. They cut out well. The only problem I had was doing the profile. It was probably running a bit too fast, and my mister that sprays water oil mixed down onto it to keep it cool, the bit ended up heating up and galling and stopped when it was coming around here. Luckily I was able to hit the emergency stop, shut it off, take the bit out, clean it out, because it gums up with metal, aluminum. And then I modified the program, came out so it just would run the outside profile again. But it was the whole thing, start to finish, was only like 15 minutes to make each one. But it took longer because I'd stop. It did it on both of them. But this one, the first one, got down to like 2 passes before it was done. But so the only thing left to do now is to weld these on. But I wanted to make sure everything fit. As you can see, my screw now clears here, so that's not going to be a problem. That's all finished now. And there's a There's a hole bung down here where the oil pressure is probably just going to come out to a 90 and have the pressure sensor gauge hooked at. That's this one. So that'll be mounted in here somewhere like so, in that hole. It's too tall, it'll hit the bottom of the intake. But this intake is solid. I mean, people are concerned about these tubes, and what they don't realize, I mentioned to them, I says, these are turbocharger tubes. I mean, these things, I think when I bought them, they said they were good up to 30 pounds of boost. And these are 4-ply, and they're plenty thick. They're 1/4 inch thick, multiple, 4-player lock, and people are concerned about them sucking in, but you'd have to have a hell of a vacuum. I've used these on many things before, and I've never seen them collapse. I doubt they'll collapse, but I'll be able to run this motor when it's done. Without the prop on, I'll be able to start it right up in here. Alright, so I did take and turn the muffler over. So now this used to be down here. So I just unbolted it, spun the whole thing around, swung the muffler back up here. Well, I pushed this up about as far as it would go and tried the cowling. Well, it turns out it is hitting right here. So I'll have to probably modify the cowling. You can see some marks right where they hit. I got that magic marker right there and right there. That's where it's hitting on each side. And that's pretty much on the bottom, very bottom of the cowling. So it's clear down here where it's not going to be much of notice. I mean, I could cut this out and it'd clear, but it'd be down to like probably one layer of just the outside layer. I may try to put some blisters on it. I'm not sure yet. Or I may cut this corner off, just cut a wedge piece off of it and weld a patch on it, just to give it a kind of a curved shape here, It doesn't get clear by much. So as you can see, I got some of the old water hoses hooked back up. I got to go from here. This is the other side coming across to here, and then they both go together into here. And then this is a kind of a bypass. This is where the heater core would bypass to allow the engine to warm up. So this is the original piece. I went on here, it hooked into there and hooked into there, and then this originally plugged straight onto there. So I took that apart, cut it off. I'm not seeing where I set it, but I don't have an 1.5 inch. Here it is. This is the fitting. It has 2 O-ring grooves in it that would plug onto there, and it was all one length. So, but now it's too short. When it's hooked up. But that's how it was before. So now it's 2 inches short. But I don't have an 1.5 inch tubing to extend it. And it's kind of offset anyway, so it's not going to work with a straight piece. So what I'm thinking of doing is just getting a rubber piece, 1.5 inch hose with about a 90-degree bend in it, and just hook it straight up to here. And then this other piece, it still has to tie back in because that's the outlet from the left radiator. Somehow they have to tie back together to go into here. So you're going to go from a 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So this piece, I did actually take that apart. Here. So that can plug on there. I'll just have to take this out and cap it. Just put a plug in there to plug this off. Take that nipple out, and that'll be sealed. Cut these, weld them shut. Again, the clamps they worked out. They did conform really nice. As you can see, they come right around, conform, so I have no fear of those. And the way these springs are working, I got to check and see if these are supposed to be compressed till they're bottomed out, or you just put enough so they're under tension. And then these are lock nuts, nylon lock nuts. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've got the other 4 clamps. Exhaust gaskets still need to be put in when I'm finished with that. Oh, and speaking of the exhaust, the reason for flipping it over was this. There's a hole right there, so they're going to be perfect. Absolutely perfect. They're actually longer than I need. They only need to come out. Remember, this will be cut. I think so. It'll be cut right in the center of that, so it'll have kind of a tailpipe to it. And then it's just going to stick out, and once I trim it so it fits back there, it's a couple inches too long. It only needs to kind of come out about here, so I'll probably be cutting off a minimum of 2 inches to get them to fit. And of course they're splayed outwards like this. They're not perfectly straight like that. They come out at an angle this way. So that's perfect. And right now this is probably higher than it's going to be because I don't want this too high because the rubber mount is right there. I want to leave a space up here to put a piece of a stainless steel sheet. Bend it so it comes around here, goes around here, and then attaches to the muffler. And then when the airflow is coming in from here, it can go through there, blow cooling air around the top of the muffler and out them big holes. All them holes. Let that exhaust heat out of there. So, like I say, everything on here is finished other than hooking up the drain line. Putting the gaskets in, finishing the muffler, finish this off. And then the top hose is just going to go straight to the firewall on both top sides. Still debating on if I want to reuse this. Because it normally just hooks from here to here. It can stay there. It's a high point. I mean, I still need a high point, so I'll probably end up keeping it there. And then again, this will get clamped back here because this is just sealed with 2 O-rings in there. There's nothing holding it on there, so you get enough pressure, you can literally blow it apart. It'll blow off, and then you have water everywhere and a hot motor. So I think that's about what I've got for today. I've got to go to the store and buy a few things, get some bolts, hardware for this. I'll weld these up here in the next day or 2. They'll be finished. I still have to weld the bung in there to put a piece of E-valve. I'll go get that, maybe get a piece of hose for this, hardware, a few things here and there, and we should be good to go. And the only thing left is the belt tensioner. I mean, if you squeeze on that hard enough, it still barely moves, but it's way better than it was before. So that's why it was always squealing before. But that's pretty stout. There's really nowhere else to try and bolt this thing in because that's all it does in the stock car. I mean, it's just barely flexing around this. It ain't really moving. It's just these two are kind of moving against each other. So the belt tensioner will come off the lug on the bolt on the other side to push the wheel against that. So I'll order that 6-inch extension, see if that works, because they're only $13 for that stainless cable extension. And if I can get away with that, it's great. If not, it's going to be $120 for the new cable, and it's a foot longer, so it's going to be longer than I need. And then it's going to, probably want to bow out clear like this to make it work. It'll be probably too long. That's the problem. You can get them custom made too, but I'm not going to go that route. Alright, I think that's going to do it for this one. Did make a big mess over there cutting the CNC stuff out. So I did take the fuel pressure sending unit off the tank. I took all the fittings out of the bottom of the tank. So the bottom of the tank's got to be taken apart. Got to pull out the sump part, pull out the 2 fuel pumps that are in the tank. So I took all the fittings except for that. That's a return fitting that you still see there. But I have to pull that whole unit out, unscrew all them screws, and then the best thing would be to just make another one of these plates, because I got to plug that hole because these are the electrical connections going inside for 2 fuel pumps. But I won't need those anymore. I just need a fuel out and a return. And the sending unit's over here on its own. So I gotta open that up, pull the 2 fuel pumps out of there. So I mean, by the time I get all this stuff out of here, off the engine, all that off of there, and then almost all this hardware left in this thing all comes out. I mean, there's over 10 pounds of material right there. Some of it gets reused. I did tear this all down so I could start pulling pins out. I had to take it apart just to get these 2 sending units, water temp, oil temp sending units out of the loop. I just cut them off, and then now I have to resolder the pins back on. And most of these, again, I'll be lucky if there's 10 wires coming out of that when I'm finished. So now the next thing is the coil on plugs. Do I want to use the ones where the coil is external with a short plug lead going in, Or I did find some shorter coil plugs that would plug into there, but then they're going to need some kind of bracket to bolt to hold them in place so they don't come out. So options there, but I'll get to that bridge when I cross it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm already on my second clip, so this is already 20 minutes in. So that means I got to end up splicing. But I just want to show you what I got done. These turned out, like I said, came out really nice, better than I expected. So they got to be welded, cleaned up, and then I'm going to use that bead roller to roll the beads on. As I mentioned, let me pull this one off real quick. I rolled the intake bead, as you see. And the way that bead roller works, I should be able to bead around this too. So, but those are nice. It looks good. Okay, I guess that's going to do it for now. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Again, there's still tons of little stuff to do inside the plane. Finish up the tail wheel, get that wingtip patched up. Again, I'm going to forego putting any lights on it right now. I'm going to forego doing modifying the seat and all that. I'm going to remount the instrument panel, pull out the wiring I don't need, and we're going to go with that. And then next year, or whatever, then I can do the same thing, bring it home, and then make other further modifications. So, let's see. People are asking about the balancing. Since I moved the motor, one guy asked, "Am I going to change my datum reference point is 10 inches in front of this flange right here, 10 inches. I did that so you can get the weight of the propeller in there. I want all the numbers to be positive. The datum can be 10 feet out in front, it doesn't matter. It's a measurement from the datum point to this point, to the main landing gears, to the tail wheel, and then you put in the arm. The length of that is called an arm, and then the moment is how much does it weigh at that arm's length, and then you run it through the math. So I'm not going to change the datum. I'm going to leave it 10 inches just because it adds 10 inches to everything. And it also adds 10 because the set CG is from here to here. That doesn't move, but the distance from here to the datum is critical for front and back, forward and aft CG limits, and it's pretty much right here by the main spar. So the data, and it's only like 4.5 inches, that window. But you got to know the numbers from there to the datum, from the wheels to the datum, and then you can balance it. So if I just throw this, cut it down to 8 inches, it'd still be the same thing. You could use all the existing numbers, but my paper I got on it, I can move the data point for the wheels, but it'll all be referenced off of 10 inches. So instead of, say, 20, 30 inches to the wheel, it'll be 2 more inches. So, but by taking all that weight off, moving the engine forward, it should stay pretty close to its original balance point. But the plane should be physically lighter when it's done, because I'm taking a ton of weight out of here. That's amazing how much that fuel injection weighs. So, all right, and then the battery, the oil is moving from here back to here, so that kind of offsets a little bit of this movement. And then if I decide to move the battery from here to up here, that'll kind of offset some of this movement. But hopefully in the end it'll balance out. If I find out if I put the battery here and it's going to be a little tail heavy, then I can move it back up, tail heavy, and then I can move the battery back up here. But I'd like to leave this open just for the fact of a clean shot for the air to blow across that exhaust and right out the bottom. And then the top, all the vents are going to be from here to here, here to here, here to here. So these are all cut out, but there's no vents up here. There is a gap. Air can get out through here. So, but this is what I'm cutting out, and then the flaps are going to come out and overlap basically where there's curved edges. You can see this curve here. So the flaps are going to come back just shy of, because you could be up, the gas tank's got to be able to come out of there without hitting the cowl flaps. The cowl flaps are not going to be up there. They'll start here and down, just like the real ones. The real ones don't have any flaps up here. They basically start here, but even if I overlap it clear back here, you can't get the tank out unless you take the top cowling off. So, all right, for the umpteenth time, I guess that's going to do it. I'll get this thing put up. I will work on her again the next 2 days, Monday, Tuesday. Today's Sunday. The damn weather here has been like in the 50s, dropping in the 40s at night. I literally had to come out and turn the heat on out here to work. It was that damn cold out here. So, all right, let's see. I will try to get. I'll have another one probably Tuesday. I should have this all finished up and pretty much permanent. Get the bung welded on there. Get that welding out of the way, and then maybe tinker with the exhaust and just try to get all the welding done. Then it's just a matter of just wiring, plumbing, everything back up. So modifying things. So the major modifications are done, I'm hoping. So I still need to buy the cable for the tail wheel steering. So all right, everyone, that's going to do her. I'm going to get this thing put together for you tonight, and then I will see you again probably Tuesday night with some more updates, and you should see a lot of this done. This is not a permanent installation yet. A lot of this is probably going to come on and off a few times before it's finally finished. So as I tweak and fit. So all right, let's cut her off now, and I will, as always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns. I appreciate that one's upside down. See, the one leg shorter goes this way. Appreciate everybody leaving the comments and watching my videos. So keep it up, and I'll keep them coming for you guys' entertainment, I suppose. All right, that's going to do her. I will see you guys again probably Tuesday night. So for now, this is Done or Done out.